Hello and welcome to the Media7 Summer Series. For the next couple of months we'll be here at Artisan Winery in Auckland, changing the pace a little. In this program we're focusing on two sectors, advertising and screen. And to lead us into the former, here's Sarah Daniels' take two on the dread commercials of Christmas.
As if there wasn't already enough to make you sick at Christmas time, there's Christmas ads.
How dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus.
There would be no childlike faith, no poetry.
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
In New Zealand, we take the same old approach and wheel out this guy.
Hear the snow crunch, see the kids bunch, this is Santa's big.
Christmas cheer is laid on with a trowel by those Grinches, the LTSA.
I'll be home for Christmas.
And Oxfam solve that gift dilemma. What to get the person who has everything?
How about a goat for milking?
The ethical gift. It's the Yuletide version of carbon credits. All your greed and rampant consumerism can be wiped out by buying a goat for a village in Mozambique.
Putting an end to bad presents this Christmas.
These giant multi-million-dollar retailers lay on the good corporate citizen bit so thick it's like drowning in trifle.
Christmas wouldn't be Christmas without your M&S.
Behold the sincere cast of celebrities. They're probably donating their appearance fees to buy a goat for a village in Mozambique. And here's the king of Pakataka as a trucker bearing gifts of supermarket mince pies.
Happy Christmas, everybody, from Sainsbury's.
Back in the 70s, Coke got really creepy with this offering.
I'd like to buy the world a home, furnish it with love.
And here they are again, presented as a sort of second coming, because they really do care, boys and girls. Christmas ads are bound to be a bit cheesy, but enough of this nauseating nonsense. What we really need is a bit of this. Or this.
All right, fellas.
Seeing the looks on their faces when this ad comes on. Priceless.
Sarah Daniels' take two there. I'm joined now by NBR's advertising correspondent Hazel Phillips and Colenso BBDO Managing Director Brent Smart, for whom this season marks a turning point. He's leaving the agency for a new role at BBDO West in San Francisco. Welcome to you both, and congratulations on the new job. We'll talk about that soon.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps we could talk a little bit about the Christmas market. What is the pitch from the industry this year, do you think? Are they seeing the public coming out of the gloom? Is that affecting the way things are being sold?
Yeah, I mean, all the research that we're seeing certainly shows that people are way more optimistic than they were this time last year. But of course, like anything, there's a lag between attitudes and actual behaviour, and the spending certainly hasn't risen as fast as optimism has. But I actually don't think it ever will match where we were, because I think a lot of people have taken a positive decision to not let themselves get into the troubles that we found ourselves in that caused this huge, global wreckage. And they're being a bit more responsible. They've learnt to save. They've learnt to live within their means, and they're actually liking it. So I think people are making a value decision not to let greed and kind of living off credit and living beyond their means get in the way again. And I don't think we'll ever kind of get back to those kind of crazy heady times.
So what kind of pitch speaks to that? You want this, but you're being responsible. Is that
Well, I mean, I think the only pitch, and we're seeing it constantly, particularly from retail brands, is to get people to act, to get people to spend, to get people to buy. You've got to discount. And I think we're also training consumers that you never buy at full price. You buy late, you wait for the best possible deal. So I think it's going to be really hard for retailers to get back to good margins and get back to actually rewarding customers for buying early. We're rewarding them for buying late and buying at discount. So I think that's a big challenge for retail brands.
Sounds like Brent's giving me the pitch there. You've got to buy it because it's a bargain. Yeah. What do you make of the mood of the industry? You've been covering it all year. Is the industry looking brighter, Hazel?
I think ad agencies are still slightly pessimistic, but the second half of this year we saw so much action in the industry and so many accounts shifting and people shifting that it's kind of signified that things are loosening up a little bit. So there's a little bit of optimism there at the same time.
So would you say, either of you say there was a kind of useful disruption there? Because we did hear about people leaving. Has that been useful in some respects?
I think it's great. I mean, you know, the only constant is change, and certainly in my 5 years in New Zealand, it's been incredibly kind of stable, kind of verging on boring. So I think it's great that we've got some movement. I think it's really interesting some of the people changes that are happening in the business, and we've got some really iconic kind of leaders of the business like Rocky and Mike at Saatchi's, you know, who are moving on, and also I think to see the small indie agencies doing so well, I think that's a fantastic thing for the business to keep us big agencies like Colenso honest, and I think we need really good independent small agencies that are kind of moving the business forward.
Well, we'll look at a independent small agency later on in the show, and I'll ask you what you think. But for a moment, there's someone that you know a lot about. We turn to another departure from Colenso now, in the wake of a long and important innings. Simon Pound talks to the man who made the crunchy ad.
After 40 years at Colenso, Roger McDonnell has stood down. In his years, he oversaw some of New Zealand's most memorable advertising moments. The ad that was the making of Roger and Colenso may well have been this crunchy bar train robbery. It played for 20-odd years and led to Roger being inducted into the World Advertising Hall of Fame. Not many ads work that well.
You are always surprised if an ad becomes like folklore. Mostly ads are crap and they're ignored, you know, and missed. The percentages of effective advertising are frighteningly low. The percentage of ads that are just wallpaper, unfortunately, spectacularly high.
It was the ad making that stood out as fun.
O'Reilly, here, Kowalski, Crump.
And the standards they set on ads like Crunchy or this Dear John ad helped bolster the local film industry.
We had a couple of directors, Tony Williams and Jeff Dixon, who were quite brilliant, and its skill sets in New Zealand now have developed hugely and are now kind of world class.
New Zealand identity, seen in every second ad these days, was something that Colenso set out to promote, right down to the name.
We decided to name the agency after the first communicator in New Zealand history, who happened to be a Cornish preacher called the Reverend William Colenso, who translated the Bible into Maori and spoke up for the Maoris at the Treaty of Waitangi, actually.
We are sailing.
Identity is one way to connect, but for Roger, the base of good advertising is making an emotional connection.
Just call New Zealand.
Kevin Roberts goes round for Saatchi's these days talking about love marks, and that's kind of what he means. We used to call it, way back, we used to call it emotional advertising, and that's pretty much what we sought to do.
And that's something he oversaw right to the end, with emotion, remember that, and humour, keeping Colenso top of the game.
Togs, 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 undies. Undies, undies.
After 40 years, Roger has seen through the 60s, where it was a bit madman actually, through to the 80s with all that entailed.
We did a lot of very good business at lunch, I've got to say. We got very pissed too, but we did a lot of good business as well.
And as he leaves, he passes on the agency he founded in top health. One of his last moves was gaining mega account Vodafone as a client. And although he leaves it, aged 60, in great shape, a bit of him never wants to leave. After all, he originally planned to retire at 40.
That hasn't really happened, but that's only, I guess, because I've ended up enjoying what I was doing and didn't want to quit.
Simon Pound talking to Roger McDonnell there. Now, Brent, you said before we started this show that Roger was your hero, and you learned a lot from him. Can you expand on that? Why is he your hero?
Well, I mean, I was so privileged to work with Roger for 3 years, and he basically gave me the keys to his agency, an agency that he'd founded an agency that he'd been at for, you know, best part of 40 years. I mean, Rog is a legend. For me as a young guy in the business, you couldn't have a better teacher. He is so passionate about the business still. You know, after 40 years at the same agency, he's still the biggest cheerleader for Colenso and the most passionate person about the work. And he's always stayed really close to the work and close to ideas, which I think is brilliant. He's incredibly young at heart. You'd never guess that he probably says he's 60, but he's a bit older than that. He's in his late 60s now. But, you know, he's young at heart, and he has no problems whatsoever relating to any 20-something copywriter or you know, suit. He gets on with everyone brilliantly, and he's an inspiration. He's fantastic. And
so is that you seem to be saying that's what he gets right, is he stays fresh?
Yeah, he definitely stays fresh, and but also, you know, Rog keeps it really real. He's incredibly grounded, and he's incredibly humble, and he's always let the work do the talking. You know, he's not one to believe in hype and spin. He just lets Colenso's work do the talking, which has always been his way. So yeah, look, he's incredible, and I think you come across a Roger McDonnell once in your career, and I'm just so lucky and privileged I got to work with him. I absolutely love him.
Hazel, what do you think the imprint that Roger McDonnell left on Colenso is?
I mean, a fantastic legacy and a lot to live up to, I think, especially for the person replacing Brent, lucky person. But yeah, he's so well respected in the industry. Everyone loves him to bits. You know, how can you live up to that?
What did he do? What shape did he put on the agency? Because Colenso has a strong brand in terms of the kind of campaigns it does, appeals to the New Zealand spirit. Did that come from Roger?
Possibly. I don't know him really well enough to comment on Roger as a person, but I certainly see coming out of Colenso a very cheeky sort of sense of humour in a lot of the ads that come out. So.
And you put an Australian in charge.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So who else do you think did well this year? What were the highlights from the industry for you this year, Hazel?
Highlights of the industry, well, people who did well, I think DDB did really well, hence NBR gave them Supreme Agency of the Year.
I'm still dark about that,
You
Hazel.
are dark about that. That's why I'm mentioning it, because you're sitting right here. Just rub it in a little bit. Actually, Colenso got a 5-star agency award, so they can't complain too much.
So token.
But in terms of, highlights for the industry, I think the Access Awards were fantastic. I mean, there was a drag queen handing out the awards. I think were there fireworks?
There were fireworks.
Yeah, fireworks, rocking band. I mean, it was a fantastic night.
So has it been great every year? What made this year better? Because I get the impression it hasn't always been...
It hasn't been fantastic.
A satisfying event.
For a couple of years it had been a little bit, I don't know what to say. Don't want to say dull, but certainly, you know, there weren't fireworks. So
what happened
so
there? Why did they improve this year? Is there someone new running it, or?
Everyone complained, I think.
Right.
Everyone anonymously got on the blogs and started writing mean comments about how much they hated Access. So I think, did you organise?
Yeah, I was actually the chairman of Access. So I worked with Toby at DDB, and we just wanted to really get Access back to its rightful place, which is a celebration of creativity, and it shouldn't feel like some, you know, accounting awards at Sky City. You know, it should feel a bit rock and roll, and it should feel creative, and we just wanted to really make an inspiring night for the industry. So I think, well,
it was definitely rock and roll.
We achieved that, so that's good.
It was definitely rock and roll.
Do you think the industry felt a bit more rock and roll this year? You got through the recession?
I don't think we felt rock and roll at all. I think we felt rocky. I mean, look, it's an incredibly tough year for the industry. And, you know, if you look at our whole sector, if you take a broader view, you look at media and you look at what's happened, you know, we've had a really, really tough year financially, all of us. But I think what's really interesting for me is in a year when you'd expect, you know, retail agencies or direct marketing agencies that are unashamedly focused on delivering ROI, you'd expect them to really shine. I think it's interesting, Hazel's comments saying what a great year DDB had, and also us at Colenso, two agencies that absolutely focus on doing big brand work. You know, two brand agencies have actually had a fantastic time, and I think it's amazing that so many clients have not fallen into short-termism, but have actually, you know, stayed the course and focused on long-term brand building. So it's amazing that two brand agencies have had such a stellar year and done such great big brand work here in New Zealand.
Yeah, even though it was a tough year, there was still room for concept and creativity.
Well, interestingly, I think many clients were more open to it. I think that, you know, when your budgets are squeezed, when you absolutely have to get results, then there's an onus on doing, I think, really breakthrough creative ideas, because you just can't afford to have invisible work that no one's going to take notice of.
Well, we'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll look at the new kids on the block.